Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So we got some new information about the upcoming Denis Villeneuve Dune 2021 film. And this comes from fight choreographer Roger Yuan, who is doing all the fights for the upcoming movie. So I don't know if it was an interview or it was from an interview, but it was put up on Reddit, him talking about the fights and how they planned out the fights and all that kind of stuff I think it's from an interview or something, but it was put up on Reddit. And so he gives information about the upcoming movie, but also he gives some information about if they go and do a part 2. So that was pretty interesting, but it's an if the first one does well. So that's the thing that always drives me up the wall about this movie, is I wish they had filmed them back to back so we got the full thing, no matter if it bombed or not. But I really hope that the first movie does well. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read through the interview and then give my thoughts on it afterwards. But first, who is Roger Yuan? So this is just a snippet of his Internet Movie Database biography, just so if you don't know who he is, you can be a little bit more familiar with him. Roger Yuan. Born January 25th, 1961 in Carbondale, Illinois, USA. Birth name Roger Winston Yuan, 5'10". Roger Yuan's career in the film industry has seen him wear many hats. As a martial arts fight trainer, action coordinator, actor, writer, and producer. He has gained much acclaim, having worked in US, UK, Hong Kong, China, Thailand, and Indian, Bollywood, and Vietnam productions. He has cultivated a global appeal. Roger has amassed a wide repertoire of expertise in various martial arts styles and unique training regimens. He has trained the likes of Michelle Pfeiffer for Catwoman in Batman Returns, Rene Russo, John Cusack, Michael Madison, Henry Cavill, Immortals, Jason Fleming, and Jennifer Lawrence for X-Men First Class, Keanu Reeves for 47 Ronin, and Daniel Craig for Skyfall. So this is who Roger Yuan is. So very impressive credentials, and he has a lot of years in the industry. So it sounds like he really knows his stuff. So now let's get into what he said about the upcoming film. Designing the specific fighting styles for the Sardaukar, the Atreides, and the Harkonnens were basically the first 3 things we focused on in the first film. We haven't gotten into Paul Atreides teaching the Fremen yet, because that's going to come in the second film. For the Atreides, because their weapons are a bit like a shorter sword, I use more Filipino styles of Kali and Eskrima. The Sardaukar are a bit more a group like a cross between Viking berserkers and the samurai. Finally, the Harkonnens, because of their bestial and sadistic quality, I liken more to the barbarians of old, like maybe Genghis Khan and the Mongols, even in a way that they move. They're efficient, but they're not very precise or stylized. The Atreides are very precise, and they have techniques that work specifically for the weapons that they use. Those are the 3 kinds of systems that we want to identify, and that will hopefully give the audience something pleasing to look at and something to take away from. Denis was great, and he definitely gave me certain directions on how he wanted the film to look, and I followed all his notes on what he wanted and basically what Dune was. Denis is such a visual storyteller, and I just knew that in terms of any piece of action choreography I could hope to introduce, first and foremost, to take into consideration. Does it serve the story, and does it serve the character in line with his concept and his vision? It wasn't about how flashy I could make a certain fight sequence or an actor look, but rather how frenetic, eye-catching, and believable we could make this piece of action. I've seen some of the fight sequences. The visual effects are almost finalized, and it looks really good. I'm happy because I think that's exactly what Denis wanted. Some of the sword fights that Jason and Timothy have, and Timothy's and Josh's training fight. I think they performed really well. Denis wanted me to play a part in the film, because if the first one does well, which we hope it will, and we complete the book, then I'll come back as a character called Lieutenant Lanville. I have a battle to the death with Fade Rautha, which is in the book. So that was really interesting stuff, and what I like is how each the different factions that are going to be in the movies, like the Harkonnens, the Sardaukar, and the Atreides, are all going to have their own unique styles, which is realistic, right? That's how it would be. They wouldn't all be trained in the same identical fashion. And I like that the Atreides, it's going to be more of an accurate type, more precision type of style, where the Sardaukar is going to be more like a Viking, and then you got the Harkonnen is going to be more like a barbarian bestial style. And so each style is going to kind of match the personality of each faction that's going to be in this film. And what's also interesting is how he mentions that if the first film does good, and that's the if part, which really makes me worried. If the first part does good, he is going to have a role in the second film, and he's going to fight Fade Rautha in the second film and be killed off by him. So Fade Rautha is going to be in part 2, which we all kind of figured as more and more casting news came out. We never did hear any casting news for the Emperor, Princess Irulan, or Fade Rautha. Which there is a scene in the book where Fade Rautha is there, but I guess in the film they'll rework the scene so he's not going to be in it, and he doesn't show up until the second part of the film. Or I mean part 2 of the story. So I'm guessing the other 2 characters will show up in part 2 as well. So we'll have Princess Irulan in part 2, the Emperor, and Fade. Which I really am hoping that this first movie does good. I know I can't stress that enough when I talk about it in these videos. This is why I really wish they had filmed these 2 movies back to back and got it made that way. Then if it came out, and honestly, if it came out and bombed, I would not care. Just as long as I got a complete Dune story on the big screen. Because I'm not one of those guys who like I don't know, there's this weird thing with movie fans, like it's almost like a whoever movie makes more money wins the game or something like that, against like the other movies. But you know, if a movie makes money or not, that's not always an indicator that it's a good film. Yes, good films make a lot of money sometimes, but also films that are poorly written and aren't very good make a lot of money as well. And then films that are well written, directed, and are really good for whatever reason don't make a lot of money. So that's not always a good indicator that a movie is going to make a lot of money, depending on how much money it makes. Or that's not a good indicator, I meant to say, that a film is good if it makes a lot of money or not. Doesn't mean it's always bad, but it's always not that. You always can't go by that. Because some movies, just the timing, the marketing, the hype behind them, they do really good. Where if you had taken them out of that situation, put them somewhere else, they wouldn't do good at all, or things like that. So knock on wood, we get part 2, because can't wait to see this movie. I just can't wait. And hasn't been much news ever since the trailer dropped. The news has kind of trickled. The only other news is that it might be released earlier, have earlier release dates in other parts of the world and stuff like that. And the other thing I heard that HBO Max was now going to have like a free version of HBO Max, but with none of the movies on it, and it'll have ads. So I don't know about that, but yeah, cannot wait to see this movie, and interesting stuff about the fighting and all that. Now, one last thing that I just last minute that I thought about when I was thinking back about the interview. That he did mention was some of the special effects are completed and he's seen some of the fights. So I'm thinking, is he referring to the Weirding Way? What's the special effect for that going to be like? How is the Weirding Way going to be that style of fighting that the Bene Gesserit use, where they can almost seem like they move at super speed and stuff like that? How is that going to be portrayed in that film? Now, he didn't give any kind of details about that. So that's what I'm curious about, because he did say some of the special effects are completed and I've seen some of the fights. He did mention that. So I'm wondering what kind of special effects are they going to use to represent the weirding way. That's going to be interesting. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.